I have a clip for you today that is one of the most dangerous clips I can remember ever playing on this program. And the reason it's dangerous isn't because the person in the video, Candace Owens, is uniquely dangerous herself. If you go on the New York subway platform, right, as I often do, you see unhinged people saying wacky things. They're yelling them. Sometimes they're yelling at no one, but they're not dangerous because no one's paying attention to them. If the crazy subway guy, I don't mean that Jared guy from Subway, the commercials, I mean the New York subway. If the crazy New York subway guy had 1 million people following them on social media and 150 or 200 or 300 people paying to hear them speak, we would say, wow, that subway guy is really dangerous. That's the case with Candace Owens. In this clip, now remember, Candace Owens falsely claimed that the comedian Bob Saget probably died from the COVID vaccine. He died from a hit to the head. Okay. Here she is saying she believes they intentionally killed people in hospitals during COVID. And people clap and people nod and people agree.
Well, I'm a big believer that they intentionally killed people in hospitals during COVID. They wouldn't.
Now, who is they? Okay, so let's pretend that these claims were subjected to actual standards. First is, Candace, who is they? Is it the nurses? Is it the doctors? Is it hospital administrators? Did some kind of covert government operatives infiltrate the hospital and sneak around and the nurses didn't notice? And who is they?
Let family members in there to make decisions for them. I personally saw when I went to an asthma clinic that they would not give me life-saving asthma treatment because breathing was not allowed, even though they had the nebulizer.
Breathing was not allowed. Candace, who didn't allow breathing? And how did you survive if you weren't allowed to breathe?
And if they had not sent an ambulance, asthma attack is about, like, you got a very short window of time. I was having an asthma attack, and the doctor had the life-saving medicine and said that the CDC had barred them from giving it to me. So there was no question that they colluded to kill American citizens so that they could fluff numbers and say that people died of COVID. I still, to this day, question the use of ventilators. It makes entirely no sense. People needed oxygen, not compression on their chests when they were dealing with something that's in their chest.
Now, of course, a ventilator doesn't deprive you of oxygen.
So from top to bottom, yes, our government wanted people to die. There's no question.
Now, understand that there's often a conflict with a lot of these conspiracy theories. She says they were killing people to fluff up COVID death numbers. Others say the numbers are just bogus. The numbers are invented out of thin air. And of course, there's a conflict there, right? Because if the numbers are just invented out of thin air to make the deaths seem high, why would you need to go in and kill people in order for them to be really dead and reported as COVID deaths? Because they're just making up the numbers. You don't need both. It's a conflict. It doesn't matter.
Because it fed the narrative.
Yeah,
and we're talking about crimes against humanity. People should face long prison sentences. People should face tribunals because of what they did.
Tribunals? What are you talking about?
During COVID. And not even that, the masking of children, the treatment of special needs kids that were being forced to be masked on planes, that were having, essentially the trauma that was put to people on a psychological level.
Right. She's now speaking to the emotional trauma. Yeah.
Should bring forth tribunals. People like Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci should be in prison. Rachel Walensky.
What crime did Bill Gates commit?
Among them, this was corruption, top to bottom. And it was all done because they had already predestined the vaccine, right? They denied treatment. They denied the use of hydroxychloroquine.
Now remember, if this was subjected to actual rigor, we would say, what evidence do you have that hydroxychloroquine works for treating COVID? And she would either not know, or she would say, I don't know, there's the 35-person study from France or whatever. And we would say, well, we have randomized controlled trials. We have really good we have proper science, and it shows that it doesn't work. Now she says ivermectin.
Ivermectin.
Yeah. Same thing with ivermectin. What evidence do you have that ivermectin works for COVID? There is none. That is randomized controlled trials. They say it doesn't work. But it's diarrhea of dishonesty.
The media was complicit in it, and it infuriates me. It infuriates me the amount of people that were allowed to die and to suffer when there were medicines that worked because they knew that they could not get emergency use authorization if there was.
All right. So, you hear stuff like this. And remember, People who believe this stuff sit on juries. I've told my story of when I had jury duty on my 21st birthday, and it was appalling. It was appalling that it was a simple self-defense assault case, and a third of the jury did not even understand the law. It wasn't about we disagree about the facts. It wasn't about we have different opinions about who's credible. A third of the jury didn't understand the law that was supposed to be adjudicated, used to adjudicate the facts of the case. So the people who believe, oh, the ventilators deprive you of oxygen, or they killed people. These people are on juries. They teach school. They might be your dentist. They might be your accountant. I don't know. But more critically, if they're your dentist and you don't like them, you get a different dentist. You can't choose your jury. You only to some degree can choose your kids' teachers or whatever the case may be. These people are extraordinarily dangerous, and they have followers, and it's absolutely horrifying. It is a brand new year. Maybe you have goals around getting in better shape, maybe cutting back on sugar. That's why you should check out our longtime sponsor, Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon tastes exactly like the delicious sweet breakfast cereals you loved as a kid, but Magic Spoon has 0 grams of sugar, 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net carbs. So it's perfect if you're doing low carb or keto, or if, like me, you just try to limit your sugar intake. You can build your own variety pack with flavors like cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, cinnamon, cookies and cream, waffle maple, blueberry. That's my favorite. Magic Spoon lets you enjoy a sweet, delicious snack without the guilt. You can stick to your goals and still treat yourself. And if you don't love Magic Spoon as much as I do, they'll give you all of your money back, no questions asked. Magic Spoon is giving my audience $5 off when you go to magicspoon.com/Pacman and use the promo code Pacman.